What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 70 of the Pixel Street Podcast, where each and every week we get together to talk about one of the things we love most, video games. I am your host for today, John Hansen. Joel Campos got hit in the face with a Spartan laser, and he's going to be stuck respawning over the weekend. I'm joined today by Connor Kopp. What's up, Connor?
How's it going, John?
Oh, it's going. Just work. I'm old and my knee hurts.
Oh.
Just that kind of stuff. I'm getting so ever close to my death, I feel. Be sure to pay attention to both the Pixel Street Podcast Twitter at Pixel Street Pod and Joel Campos at Campos63 over the weekend. He is going to be at, is it called Halo Outpost?
Yes.
Outpoint?
Outpost.
Outpost? Okay. He's going to be at that in Chicago over the weekend, so he's going to be putting up some videos, pictures, whatever he sees going on there. So if you're into Halo, definitely keep an eye on that. Speaking of Twitter, though, we've enjoyed having new people follow our content, and we hope to keep you around. With that in mind, we have decided to run another giveaway once we reach 100 followers. That is at Pixel Street Pod. We are getting very close to 50, so we are about halfway there. Got a few followers in the last week or so. You can find the Pixel Street Podcast on most podcast platforms on Fridays, as well as on YouTube. You can now watch the show directly on our Facebook group by searching for Pixel Street Podcast over there. I generally like that we're on SoundCloud. I never really got into SoundCloud beforehand, but I gave that a try a couple weeks ago when I wasn't on, and that's a pretty handy service. I might go to that more often for some podcasts, so definitely give us a look over there. This week, we will be discussing Ninja's unstealthy move, the Mixer, some Sony console news, EA hates the Switch, and some more. But first off, Connor, is there anything coming out here soon that you want to play?
Personally, a whole lot of nothing, to be honest with you.
That's
kind of quiet. Are you a Madden guy?
Not really. I will get it and play through. I will make a franchise mode with some friends and play through that for a while, but I do that like once every 4 or 5 years because the jumps every year between sports games just isn't enough for me. So I like going long distances without playing them. So when I do get to playing it, it feels like a new game, and it will also build up my my actual want to play that game. Because if I'm playing the same thing every year with just little roster updates, I'm gonna just not be interested.
Well, I gotta say, I think this year is definitely the one to pick up. I got some hands-on time with it on the PS4 recently, and it plays pretty well. There's some interesting new game mechanics. There's superstar perks or whatever they call them that give each players or some players specific abilities and stuff. That's pretty interesting, but I think the coolest addition is some college football action. It's been lacking from any kind of video game facet for a very, very long time, and it's nice to see that come back. Madden 20 launches on August 2nd, if you're interested.
Yep, that will be today if you're listening to this on Friday, and it's tomorrow for us. Shout out to Hamsterdam. I have no idea what this game is, but I'm just down for that. There's just not a lot coming out. Meow Motors. Man, this is...
Yeah, we're still in that quiet part of the year where there's just not a lot hitting. I think probably by the time we get to the end of August, though, we're going to start ramping up pretty crazily, and we're going to see some big name releases before too long.
Yeah, I will say I am definitely looking forward to Control, which comes out later this month. That's definitely one of the games I've been looking forward to the most this year. If you're a Switch owner, though, Guacamelee 1-2 Punch Collection is coming out on August 6th, so is Enter the Gungeon Deluxe Edition. I haven't played Enter the Gungeon myself, but I've played Guacamelee. It's pretty good. That's just about it. There's just nothing for releases in the next week. But, that's not always a bad thing. It gives us a chance to actually play the games we already have, which we're always missing all the time anyway, right?
You are not kidding. My backlog is atrocious.
I think I've been doing a good job of taking care of it a bit this year, but there's still so much to play. You want to take the free games?
Sure, can do. So, jumping into free games of the month with Games with Gold on Xbox, you have your chance to score Gears of War 4, which is a fantastic opportunity considering Gears of War 5 is just around the corner. And I know we're going to be talking about Gears a little bit later with you, John, but you're definitely going to want to pick that one up. You also have your opportunity to grab Forza Motorsport 6, Torchlight, and Castlevania Lords of Shadow. The ones that will be available at the beginning of the month are Gears of War 4 and Torchlight, and then towards the end of the month will be Forza Motorsport 6 and Castlevania Lords of Shadow. So don't miss out on those, especially Gears 4. Certainly worth the playthrough. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. No, let's just give a shout out real quick, because I mean, that's 2 Microsoft exclusives, and they're not tiny exclusives. Those are big reasons to own an Xbox One this generation. I know everyone talks about how Xbox One doesn't have the exclusives, but right there, that's 2 of Microsoft's biggest hitters. So it's actually really cool that they're just giving that away for free. I know they're already available on Game Pass and everything, and you can play them there if you want, but still, for the people with just a gold subscription, that's really cool.
Absolutely. I mean, they prove time and time again that they certainly know how to add value to their membership programs. So, good to see.
For sure. We've also got some new games coming to Game Pass announced. I don't believe there's any announced that are leaving, so that's a good thing. For the console, we have Ash's Cricket and Pandemic, which I believe is a board game turned into a video game. I'm not sure on that one 100% though. On PC, there's Downwell. And all 3 of those are coming on. Oh, they're already out. They just dropped today. On August 8th for console, we have Jackbox Party Pack 2. That's something I definitely want to play with our groups if there's a way to play it online. I'm not sure.
Man, the Jackbox games are absolutely phenomenal. I cannot believe
so
the amount
of
quality in those. So certainly a good pick up there.
On PC, Space Hulk Tactics. On August 14th, Slay the Spire comes to both PC and console. And then there's a bunch of new Game Pass quests available as well. If you like collecting rewards points, now you can do it with Game Pass games. So that's pretty cool. I also did see a thing that at some point this month, Game Pass players will have a chance to try the new technical alpha for Gears 5. This last month they did one for the multiplayer, and I think the one this month is for Horde. I believe that's right. So yeah, if you're a Gears fan, lots of exciting stuff coming up for you. Alright, what we got for PlayStation, Connor?
Yeah, so on PlayStation Plus, you can grab Wipeout, a Mega Collection, not to be confused with the television show Wipeout.
It would have been so much better!
I don't know about that. The quality of those games are just not there. This is more of an old school kind of speed racer esque game. You also have your chance to grab Sniper Elite 4. Both of those drop on August 6th, so a few days after this podcast goes live. Sniper Elite 4, I will say, is a pretty recent game. I do believe it's the newest Sniper Elite. And those games are usually pretty damn good for what they are, so a lot of quality there.
Yeah, if you're in the sniping games, I hear this is the game to play. I'm not much of a sniper myself, so I've never given it a try, but if you're into like being stealthy and picking people off from far away, definitely give it a try. On Twitch Prime, our new games for August are Wonder Boy, The Dragon's Trap, Pump BMX Pro, Mabel in the Wood, and Automa Chef. That's a weird
name. I think
name.
it's Automa Chef, actually. I heard some stuff on this recently, and it actually looks pretty cool. Worth checking out.
Alright, cool. And then also, we're going to just keep pounding this into your face until you finally listen to us. You can get free 12 months of Nintendo Online with your Twitch Prime account. That's actually coming up here pretty soon. September 24th is when it ends. Connor, what have you been playing lately?
I think I'll start off with one that everybody's probably sick of hearing me talk about. This week, if you're tuning into Connor's weekly update of Destiny 2, Solstice of Heroes just dropped. That is the yearly kind of recap event that recaps all of the major milestones and things that you accomplished with your Guardian over the past year. Um, Usually there's some kind of new activity or mode that's tied with it, as well as a set of armor that you can get that you actually have to complete quests and objectives to upgrade and kind of max it out. And it's generally considered to be some of the best armor in the game. So I've been grinding on that, hitting that pretty hard, and I am happy to report that this year's Solstice of Heroes, it's pretty freaking awesome. Armor looks good. It's kind of similar to what we had last year, so nothing too flattering there. But the new activity that they added, which I can never remember the name of, but everybody just calls it EAZ, is absolutely fantastic. It's a 3-man PvE match-made activity where 3 people drop down and you have 5 minutes to kill as many bosses as possible. That's important because later on, after the next phase is that you kill essentially a mega boss, and once you take down that mega boss, then you open a chest, and then however many bosses you killed in the first phase, that's how many random chests spawn around this giant map, and you have like 3 minutes to search the map for these chests. They just spawn randomly. They don't show up on your radar. It doesn't show you where they are, except for the first 10 seconds or so. They'll blip up on your screen so you can see them, and then they disappear, and you have to go and try to find them. So a bit of like a scavenger hunt sort of thing at the end, and it's just a lot of fun. The rewards aren't too impressive. I'm a little bummed out about that, but altogether it gives me a reason to come back and play Destiny. It's some new content, and it's it's fun for what it is. It's free if you have annual pass, which is worth noting, and like I said, it's just kind of a big recap of everything you did over the past year. So, worth checking out. It's got my stamp of approval. You can catch me playing that for the next couple weeks and trying to grind out those damn rewards.
Alright, yeah, that's cool. So you said it like it's kind of like a celebration of everything you've done over the past year.
Effectively, right? Yep.
Okay. Do they do anything like they? So one of my favorite things with Destiny 2, not mind you, I only played the base game and everything, was when you first load up the game and they like imported everything, like the date and everything that you completed, like the raids in the first Destiny and everything, and like
Sure.
who you played it with. That was like one of my favorite things. I thought that was just so cool. Just kind of like, hey, Guardian, yeah, this is what you've done in the past, and let's get ready for a new adventure. Do they happen to do anything like that where it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is what you've done over the past year, like anything like that?
Unfortunately, not. At least that I have seen, nothing like that has popped up. I will say that last year, during Solstice of Heroes, they actually kind of turned that on its head a little bit, and instead of just giving almost a cutscene that you watch through of all of your triumphs, you had specific missions that you were playing that were kind of flashbacks, but they were a little changed and modified. They were essentially memories. You were playing memories, and so some things were a little bit different. And that was an absolute blast. Those missions were fantastic. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to go as in-depth this time around. It certainly seems like we're just trying to keep people occupied for a few more weeks until Shadowkeep dropped. But, as we'll talk about in a little bit, that may not pan out the way they were hoping it to. And so I would love to see them add more content. There could potentially be more time-gated content. That is something they like to do, and just secretly drop some kind of time-gated content shortly afterwards. But, yeah, as of right now, it doesn't seem like they have that kind of big recap. It's really only there in name.
Alright, so what I've been playing this week, I talked about this a little bit last week. I've been playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I will get that written up and everything tonight, my review for it. I unfortunately have been way too busy the last week. I wanted to have it done earlier in the week, but whatever, a little late. But overall, great game. I finished the story. Very good. If you've played the original Ultimate Alliance games, I think this is right on par with those. I wouldn't say it's particularly better. or anything. It doesn't do anything amazing. It doesn't do anything different. It just is a good game. And really, that's all I wanted out of this. I kind of have been having the kick to try and go back to the original Ultimate Alliance because I really enjoyed that game. It was my first game ever on the 360, and I just since they took it down, I haven't been able to do that. But Ultimate Alliance 3 is great. I love the cast of heroes. I do have a few issues with how they handle things, but I'll cover that in my review and everything. Won't bore you with the details here. Have you gotten a chance to play this yet?
I have not. It's on my radar, and it's something that I definitely want to give a shot to. But there's another title that I have been very, very focused on the Switch that's been taking up my time. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to get into this. But I have heard that it is very good for what it is. It's just not a very modern video game. Is that something you would agree with?
Oh yeah, 100%. This by no means is this winning game of the year in any category whatsoever. It's just really good for wasting time, really, I think. And if you love Marvel superheroes, I mean that's the draw of this. The draw of this game is the cast of heroes you can play as. You can play as Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Venom, Wolverine, Deadpool, like just tons of like all these people that are like super popular. You got all the popular people from the MCU, so Doctor Strange, of course, all the Avengers and everything. Even some people in there that I hadn't even heard of before, like Emma Bloodstone. I guess she's a hunter from London or something. I don't know her backstory at all. I've never actually heard of her. So it was really cool seeing that. The storytelling itself, it's okay. It's very comic booky. This is not like on like the side of the MCU. This is like a drawback to like comic books and everything in general, because like even the like little quips that people throw at each other, it's like, wow, this could have been said in a comic book. So for that reason, I really enjoy it. Not my favorite game of the year or anything, but I'm still very glad that it came out.
Yeah, I've heard some good feedback on it. Like I said, it just seemed like a lot of people were saying that it doesn't feel... I think the one thing I heard was it is sure a game from 2007.
Yes.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think that there's a place in the market for it, but it's cool to hear that you're getting some enjoyment out of it. I think it's one I'm going to pick up here as soon as I'm done with my... current obsession.
I think the biggest thing for it is that it only released on the Switch, so you can play this anywhere and it looks fine. It doesn't look amazing or anything. It's just fine. And I think just how simple the controls are and just what kind of game this is, if this released on Xbox One or PS4, it would probably be getting torn to shreds. I think it releasing on the Switch was actually an incredibly smart move, and it's probably one reason I enjoy it more, is just because the Switch is such an awesome console.
That's fair.
All right, so what else have you been playing?
Oh boy, I have been playing the ever-living fuck out of the new Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Three Houses. This game is so good. Just top to bottom, everything is fantastic about it. I cannot stop singing its praises, and I am hands-on addicted to this game. It is super, super good. The quality is great, the battles are great, and I just love it front to back. You may have seen a lot of reviews out there on it, giving it some fantastic scores. I think IGN gave it like a 9.5. Game Informer was around the same neighborhood. And I absolutely think it deserves it. This game is the first console Fire Emblem game since, I do believe, Radiant Dawn on the Wii, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah.
So it's been a while since we've had one of those. But it is far from the first Fire Emblem in the West. I've been playing Fire Emblem games since the self-titled Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance, and I've always been in love with this series. It's something that's been right up my alley. It is a kind of hardcore tactics style game. Think Advance Wars or a little bit of DNA from Final Fantasy Tactics in there. It is very much its own thing, though. Fire Emblem has always been kind of feared for something that it does that other games kind of shy away from, and that's permadeath. It is a series that has never really backed down from that. Classically in the Fire Emblem games, if somebody dies in a battle, they're dead forever, and that's any of your main characters. Of course, if your player character dies or you fail the main objective, of course you fail and have to restart the mission or whatever. But it's something unique that so many other games, and I feel like development studios have been afraid to touch and to get into. That it's kind of a nice, unique feat for that series. So I'm happy to report that Three Houses brings that back in some capacity. But the great thing about this game is that they have made it very accessible for everyone. So even though that aspect of permadeath is there for the hardcore fans, there is a casual mode that kind of strips that, takes it away, and allows you to just kind of play at your own leisure. Now, the premise of Fire Emblem Three Houses is you are the son of a mercenary or daughter of a mercenary, depending on who you pick, and you are kind of roped into being in service of the church of Seiros, and the church kind of is this middling ground between these three different houses. The Golden Deer, Black Eagles, and I always forget the last one, so you'll have to forgive me on that, but it's like the Blue Lions or something like that. And you are recruited to become a teacher at this monastery where people, essentially kids from each house, have come to train to become battle-worn heroes, effectively, and go back to lead their separate kingdoms. Now, very early on in the game, you have to make a choice between the houses, who you want to be with, who you want to side with, and I have heard that every single choice is vastly different. So you are essentially getting 3 games worth of playtime here, which is super, super awesome. I'm probably about 20 hours in so far, and I really feel like the game's just starting. I have not got to the point where I feel like it's really opened up, which is awesome. I'm loving it so far, and I really want them to just throw more at me. So I'm very happy so far.
That's cool. I've never played a Fire Emblem before. The only things I know about them is what I learned from Smash. That is literally all I know about Fire Emblem. Generally, I don't. I think in the past that it wouldn't be a game for me. But I am very glad to hear you say that they have a more accessible kind of route for people like me. Because I do want to give this game a try. I want to play everything on the Switch, really.
Well, and I gotta say, too, with this, they've definitely taken it to a new level. You still have that hardcore tactics stuff, but the great thing about this is that you can customize your experience to essentially play however you want. So, if you're in it for the battling, you can focus on the battling, but you also have options to just make all that stuff automatic. You can, if you're in it for the love options and you're just looking to romance some anime cuties, you can just make all that stuff automatic and just romance all the anime cuties. This game plays sort of similarly to like a Persona, if I were to compare it to something, where there's tons and tons. There's like a hub world that you go to, and there's tons and tons of side quests and missions and things that you can do within this hub world that are totally unrelated to battling or being out on a battlefield, which is super, super cool. They've never had something like this that's so in-depth that kind of makes it a more rounded experience. When you're in the monastery, which is the hub world, you're actually in third person, and you just get to explore. You get to talk to all the people in your house and people in other houses. You can even recruit from other houses and bring people into yours if you would like to. You have to kind of meet certain requirements and prove that you're proficient in their likes in order to recruit them. But there's so many different systems at play here, and really the great thing is that you get to customize it to be whatever you want. Like I said, you can make the battles automatic. You being the teacher for whatever class you pick, you do have to kind of pick what skills they focus on. You do hold lectures every month or so in game time, and you get to choose what skills you're going to advance with them, what they're going to learn and focus on in those lectures. And again, if that's not something you want to be a part of, you can make all that stuff automatic. It does a very good job of kind of making this both a extremely convoluted and complicated game for the people that have been playing Fire Emblem for a long, long time, as well as allowing you to open it up and kind of create and curate your own experience and turn it into what you want it to be. So I think if you're a fan of things like Persona or Advance Wars, there's a little bit of something in here for everybody on that spectrum that they would probably be satisfied with. So definitely worth checking out.
No, that's awesome to hear. I definitely want to give it a try, so I'll plan on doing that at some point this year. But Connor, I think it's time we run to the news.
I agree.
All right, so have you ever heard of this Ninja guy?
Ninja. Doesn't sound familiar.
All right. Well, he is a very popular streamer on Twitch. Or is he anymore? Ninja has left Twitch to stream exclusively on Mixer. This is from Adam Bankhurst of IGN. Tyler Ninja Blevins, one of Twitch's most popular streamers and one of the biggest names in Fortnite, has announced that he will be leaving Twitch and will be exclusively streaming on Mixer going forward. Mixer is owned by Microsoft, and back in 2009, Ninja began his professional gaming career by playing Halo 3, with Halo Infinite launching alongside the next generation Xbox, currently known as Project Scarlet. The potential evolution of this partnership between Mixer and Ninja could be an interesting one. Ninja, during his run on Twitch, broke many records for the streaming platform, including becoming the first Twitch streamer that reached 10 million followers and breaking the record at the time for concurrent viewers when he streamed Fortnite with Drake and others. Ninja's Mixer page is live now with the title Live from Lollapalooza. For a limited time, those who visit can claim a free month subscription to the ever-popular streamer. Subscribing earns viewers 22 customer... I think that's a typo there. I'm guessing it's supposed to say custom Ninja emoticons and no ads. Ninja will be streaming daily from 9:30 to 6 Central Time, although times are subject to change. As of this writing, the subscription button and verification badge for Ninja's Twitch channel have both been removed. In a statement given the Polygon, a representative from the streaming platform said, "We've loved watching Ninja on Twitch over the years and are proud of all that he's accomplished for himself and his family and the gaming community. We wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors." So, this is really big news in all actuality. I'm not much into watching streamers and everything, but this was one of the biggest names out there, and him leaving Twitch for Mixer is a big deal in that community, I think, right?
I absolutely agree. He, for the longest time, was almost the face of Twitch. When people thought about Twitch or talked about Twitch, it was Ninja, the Ninja Show.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people got introduced to Twitch by Ninja, and them losing him absolutely deals a huge blow to them, and is a massive win for Mixer, no matter which way you cut it.
Oh yeah, and it's not just Twitch. He was one of the biggest names with Fortnite, which is the biggest game in the world over the last couple of years. That. This is not a small time thing here at all. This is huge for Mixer, and you gotta figure it's gotta be quite a bit of a hit to Twitch. Was it you and me the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, talking about Dr. Disrespect on here?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Where they gave him just a small thing because hey, he makes them money. You have to figure Twitch is sitting over there right now, just whatever deal Microsoft pulled off to make him jump platforms. That had to have been quite a bit of money, quite a bit of whatever goes into these deals. It's pretty crazy, and it's very interesting to see just going forward how this will affect Mixer. I think at the end of the day, Twitch doesn't like it, but I don't think it hurts them necessarily. You know what I mean? Because they still have a huge base. They have a ton of popular streamers and everything. I think this is more a win for Mixer than it is a loss for Twitch, because Mixer now can gain all those millions of followers on their side, and then we'll see from there if that branches off to any of the other streamers or not. But it's definitely an interesting thing to keep track of going forward, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This is a huge, huge win for Mixer. Whatever voodoo magic they pulled off behind the scenes to make this happen is super awesome. But at the same time, I think that Twitch hasn't done themselves any favors to make this harder for Ninja to do. I mean, over the past couple of years, I've seen several large streamers go ahead and make the transition from Twitch to Mixer, and it's not an easy choice to make. I mean, you are losing essentially your community at that point. You're acting on good faith, just hoping that people will follow you over and make a new account and kind of start over again with you. And I think for somebody like Ninja, he's not going to have a hard time doing it, but Twitch, again, I don't think they're doing themselves any favors here. You know, the Dr. Disrespect stuff was very, very controversial, and we've seen several things happen like that over the past few months or year or so, and Twitch just doesn't seem to have a good answer to these problems. And I think, you know, with Ninja moving over here, we could potentially see some other big names too. So while this may not necessarily be a huge blow to Twitch, as I'm sure they'll be just fine with Dr. Disrespect and all of the other names that they have, this could be kind of a signal for other streamers to head over as well. So we'll have to see how it shakes out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I could tell you firsthand how hard it is building a community with anything. Like, making content and everything, that's the easy part. It's like actually getting people to repeatedly come back for that content, which is the hard thing. So,
absolutely.
And, I mean, this guy is just so popular that he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. So him moving over to a platform like Mixer, which is still popular, but not on anywhere near where Twitch is right now. So definitely going to be an interesting thing to see what happens going down the road. All right, Connor, you want to take the next story?
Sure. So this story comes from Game Informer and talks about Sony in particular. We actually have a few Sony stories here, so we're just going to wrap them into one. But the headline is, Sony says PlayStation consoles may be priced higher in America due to tariffs. This article is from Imran Khan, again at Game Informer, and it reads, recently U.S. President Donald Trump threatened all products exported from China with a 25% tariff upon entering the United States. Shortly thereafter, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony all signed a joint letter encouraging the administration not to pursue the tariffs as it would necessitate raising prices of their products. During an earnings meeting this week, Sony reiterated this, suggesting PlayStation consoles may in fact go up in price for where they already are. Sony finance chief Hiroki Tataki was asked about the issue and remarked that the tariffs would be fairly destructive to the PlayStation hardware business, as the extra 25% would have to be passed on to consumers. Right now, existing tariffs on Chinese products are absorbed by the console manufacturers, but the escalation will make that no longer possible. Tataki says on Tuesday, we believe and therefore have told the U.S. government that higher tariffs would ultimately damage the U.S. economy. According to the Wall Street Journal, most PlayStation products and components are made in China, which likely makes it impossible to suddenly shift production elsewhere. For their part, Nintendo has anticipated the tariffs will go through and has already moved manufacturing of the Switch and Switch Lite out of China. And Microsoft's Phil Spencer has said that the price of the Xbox One successor will depend on those tariffs as well. This is something we spoke a few weeks ago about and kind of talked about how this could impact the industry. But the important thing to remember here is that, these tariffs, while they do affect the companies, ultimately affect the gamer, because the consoles that we know and love are just going to become more expensive. There's no way for these companies to really get around this in any way meaningful, which is definitely a huge bummer. It's interesting to see Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony come together, but it also shows just how important this is and just how threatening and stifling this could be to the gaming industry. So I really hope this doesn't happen and it doesn't go through, but it's something to really keep an eye on and potentially reach out and write to your senators about. That's really the only way to combat things like this, is getting the word out about it and talking to your representatives. How do you feel about this, John?
I am 100% against this. Like, I just don't. Man, like, all political things aside, this is just an awful move for the gamers. I mean, not even just the gamers, just anyone who wants to buy something. Like, I don't know what all comes from China. A little bit of everything. Like, it's so much comes out of there. Like, everything is just gonna be raised. And you hear people at the beginning of this generation complain about how expensive the Xbox One was at $500. Well, now we have the PS5 and the Scarlet coming out next year. What the fuck are they gonna cost now? Like, you would hope they would be in that 400 to 500 range, but after this, what is it gonna be? 600, 700 maybe? Like, that's just ridiculous, and there's going to be a lot of people missing out, at least at the beginning of this next generation, if this goes through. Like, it's just not sustainable. It will definitely hurt, like, just not just the economy, but like just gaming in general. Like, I don't keep up the track on this kind of stuff normally, but like, I don't know, do Blu-ray discs come out of China as well? Because if that does, there goes the prices of every physical game again. Like, and I just don't see how this is a good move whatsoever for anyone in America, except for someone that works in government or something like that.
I agree, and to put it in perspective, this is no small amount. If like you said, the Xbox One, when it originally launched, was $500. 25% tariff on that would be $125. That would jack the price up of this console to $650, and that's just outrageous. Obviously our market isn't in a place to support that, much less our economy, but that is a significant jump in pricing structure. 25% is no small bear. So I think this is incredibly important to watch. And like I've said before, a lot of these companies sell their consoles and their hardware at a loss just so they can get the install base out there, and be able to reap the benefits of software sales or digital sales or whatever it may be. And this kind of wipes that out. This means that companies have to find a way to either close that gap or make a profit on this stuff. And it's just not a great answer. So really hoping to see this not go through in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, reach out to your representatives, write your senators, just get the word out there that this is not something that needs to happen. The only way we avoid things like this is by standing up against them. Wrapping into that story, I do have a second story here on the PlayStation 4.
A little better
which is
news.
Pretty interesting. Yes, thankfully on the flip side of the coin. This one reads, and again it's from Imran Khan out at Game Informer. PlayStation 4 hits 100 million sold as digital game sales eclipse physical for the first time ever. Reading from this, it says, it turns out that a lot of people own PlayStation 4 consoles. The system shot out like a rocket right out of the gate, to mix several metaphors, and hasn't really let up since, despite fierce competition from the Switch, but also other entertainment products like phones and Netflix. And what theoretically should have been the hardest generation for consoles to compete, the PS4 is proving conventional wisdom isn't always correct. According to Nico Partners analyst Daniel Ahmed, this makes the PS4 the fast-selling home console. I think there's a typo there. Yeah. The fastest-selling home console to ever hit 100 million units, ahead of both the Wii and PS2 by 2 months. While PS4 sales were actually below expectations for the quarter, likely owing to the generation winding down, the console still managed to set that record ahead of its 2000 predecessor. Speaking of going against conventional wisdom, Sony has also reported that 53% of all game sales on the PS4 this quarter were digital, challenging the long-standing institutional knowledge that digital only makes up about 20% of game sales. This is the first time that a first party has reported digital sales overtaking physical software sales, indicating a major shift in the market. Physical sales are still quite important. They're just now only half the equation versus the vast majority of it. With the PlayStation 5 or whatever the successor is called due to be revealed sometime in the next year, Sony is likely to go hard on owner-anticipated software in that intervening time and not necessarily PS4 sales. Games like Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima will likely motivate a lot of players to spend money and should still sell even more consoles. So yeah, a couple things coming out of here. The interesting part is obviously PlayStation 4 hitting 100 million sold. I don't think that really surprises anybody.
No.
PS4 out of the gate has been just selling bonkers this generation. They really, really benefited from Microsoft slipping up very early in this generation, and just to see them hit this milestone is really, really cool. But again, I don't think it's the most surprising news out of this article. The more surprising one is that digital game sales, to nobody's surprise, are massive nowadays. The fact that they are over half of the market now for game sales is just unfathomable. When you consider 20 years ago, digital games were barely a thing. It's wild to me. How do you feel about this?
So the PS4 selling, like you said, not a surprise at all. Like, that's awesome. It's going to be very interesting how close it gets to the PS2. I don't necessarily think it will beat the PS2 because I think the PS2 had much more going for it in the way of, hey, this is a DVD player. Like, that was a big deal at the time, and like, oh, why buy a DVD player when I can buy a PS2 and play games? Where the PS4 also is very reliant on internet. So people with bad internet or people who don't want to make that jump aren't going to do that quite yet. But regardless, it's already the third highest selling console of all time, so that's awesome. As for the digital sales, one thing to note, this is only on the PS4 side. We don't know on the Switch or the Xbox side, but still, that is a big number from a console that is over 100 million units sold. Like, that is a ton of money. Not only are you putting more money in developers' pockets and everything, because they're not putting that money towards, or I guess publishers, because they're not putting that money towards physical costs or anything. Like, this is good. This kind of goes back to our last story, though. How is this going to be affected if those tariffs go through? Like, this stuff isn't going to be possible with that. But overall, very happy to see that digital is making such big leaps and bounds. We have known over the last few years that it's been growing, and it's very obvious just how much it's been growing. But it actually passing that threshold of where now it is selling better, like, that's just awesome to me. And I am 100% for an all digital future. I don't think we'll get there, but hey, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think that digital, again, it surprises nobody. The only thing I want to add on to this, though, is that with digital becoming so prevalent, we really need to start focusing on talking about ownership and what happens to ownership in cases of, people passing away or servers being shut down or whatever it may be. These are questions that have long plagued the digital medium. And I think with it becoming such a mainstream thing now, we really need to start turning our focus and asking those questions and much more solving those questions and trying to see, is there a good answer for that? I think it's not an easy conversation to have, but it's one that needs to happen as digital gets more popular. So
yeah, I definitely think that's a question that gets answered more in the next generation than it does now. But it is very important that we do look at that, because you hear about this kind of stuff all the time, and there's always that fear of, if I buy this game, like a lot of people earlier this year were worried about Anthem. They're worried, hey, if I buy this game and it and it's not doing well right now. If I buy it, like, is EA just going to shut down the servers later in the year? Like, at that point, you've wasted $60 on a game that you literally can't play anymore. Obviously, that hasn't happened. I don't think it will, but, like, it just takes one of those moments to happen, and it could happen at any time with any big AAA game. Like, just, oh, hey, this isn't working. We have to cut our losses. We're done. And then you hear just, it'll be a crazy uproar in the gaming community. Like, there's just no way that I just don't see a situation where we ever want to get to that point. I hope we don't ever, but it just takes one time, man.
Yeah, we're living on very, very thin trust between the gamers and the developer, well, the publishers right now. And I agree, it just takes one for that really to become a prevalent issue. So something to think about as we move forward. Again, there's no easy answer to it right now, but I do hope it is something we talk about in the future.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. Here might be a little bad news for you, Connor. Destiny 2 Shadowkeep delayed 2 weeks, now launching in October. This is from Jordan Sarani from IGN. Destiny 2 Shadowkeep and New Light is the free-to-play version have been delayed to October 1st. They were initially scheduled to be released on September 17th. Cross-save support, which was announced alongside New Light, is still scheduled for later this summer, according to Bungie. Being independent means that the future of Destiny 2 is entirely on our team, the developer wrote on its blog. It also means that we're agile enough to choose to do what's best for the game and our players, even if it's the hard choice. Announced in June, Shadowkeep takes players back to the moon from the original Destiny. The standalone expansion costs $35. A lot has changed for Destiny since Bungie split from publisher Activision in January. You can read all about blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Okay. Connor, tell me how much this breaks your heart.
It's a bummer, to be honest. A lot of people were looking forward to, especially me included, looking very much forward to Shadowkeep, as this takes us back to some of the content that we missed or lost from Destiny 1, specifically the Moon. And I know everybody's eager to return, but at the same time, on the flip side, I'm happy to see them take a step back and say, hey, we're not going to be ready on time. We don't want to launch a subpar product, and we are going to take the extra time to make sure we give something good. That's great to see. It's good to see them care enough to do so. I don't think that before the Activision split, something like this would have been possible. I think that the pressure would have been on them to just either crunch, which is a very unhealthy and impractical thing to do when you're trying to run a game this large, or to push out a product that's not complete, or something that needs massive fixing or repair shortly after launch. So I think it's a bummer for sure. I was hoping to get my hands on this in the very near future, but I think in the end it's the smart choice, it seems, and I'll wait an extra 2 weeks.
Yeah, that is the important thing to remember here. It's only 2 weeks. Like that's a short time for us, but it's a decent chunk for them to really finish ironing out any kinks that they may be having right now. So it's not canceled or anything. You're still getting it. I think this is an incredibly smart move on Bungie's part, because they are shouldering everything to do with this now. Like, Destiny is their thing. Like, I know they made it and everything, but now they are the ones putting their money into this. This isn't Activision anymore. This is them. This is, you can't like complain at Activision anymore for not liking something to do with Bungie. This is all, or with Destiny. This is Bungie's doing. Everything they do here is indicative of their company, how they put out product now, which is solely Destiny. So this is the thing for them. Like, I think it's a great move on their side, and just getting out in front of it, not waiting until like 2 weeks before the release date to delay it. We still had a little over a month here. I think it's a great move, really, and I'm just glad to see that they're not trying to push it out unfinished or anything.
I agree. And a quick footnote to it, Luke Smith, one of the studio heads, said that next week they'll be putting out a quick doc on what they've learned in the past 6 months in Destiny 2 and why they had to push this back. So be on the lookout for that. Might give a little more insight as well as some hopefully promising details. So, yeah, again, just a quick thing.
Okay. I'll take the next one as well. This is from Imran Khan of Game Informer. EA argues that Switch owners would generally prefer to play their games elsewhere. It wasn't really that long ago when EA CEO John Riccitiello stood on the Nintendo E3 stage in 2011 and announced an unprecedented partnership with the hardware manufacturer for their upcoming Wii U. At the time, the Wii was closing in on 100 million units sold, and it only made sense to cozy up to Nintendo. But it wasn't long until that partnership collapsed, leaving EA shy to ever support Nintendo consoles again. Despite a CEO change for EA and a massive fortune change for Nintendo, EA is still as hesitant as ever and have explained why they don't expect that to change. During an earnings call this week, an investor asked a fairly obvious question. Why isn't The Sims a game with largely casual appeal on the Switch when it is on other consoles? Anytime we're evaluating platform conversations, we are really looking at a couple of things. One, does the system really fit the profile of that platform in terms of the control or the community ecosystem? CEO Andrew Wilson asked rhetorically. Two, do we think the community playing on that platform would appreciate the game to go there, or would they prefer to play it somewhere else? Wilson cited internal data that, by and large, Switch owners also own PlayStation 4s, Xbox Ones, and PCs. The argument then is whether a Switch owner would play a game when it's also available on PS4. According to Wilson, no, a point which is somewhat bolstered by sales of the EA games like FIFA or the indie game Fe, though both those titles have received a lot of criticism for the quality of their ports on the Switch. Another implication by Wilson was that the Switch's online infrastructure simply might not be able to support The Sims and its vast library of user-generated content, saying players expect to engage in that community on a platform that is really tailored to user-generated content creativity and customization. Basically, don't expect EA's tune on the Switch or Nintendo consoles in general to change anytime in the near future. Connor, what do you think of this?
I think EA's dumb. I think that EA
so
hates money.
Dumb.
This is stupid. I get it that there's extra work that goes into porting things to a different system, and I understand that, you know, a lot of EA's experiences may not port well to the Switch, but even so, coming out and saying that publicly is just really, really dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of those things that you just don't mention. If there are games that you can't put on the Switch, that's fine. That's fine. That's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously you're not going to get Battlefield on the Switch. You're not going to get Titanfall on the Switch. It's just not feasible.
No. And
most gamers understand that. But to just say that you're not going to focus on one of the best-selling consoles of all time with a company that has killed it over the past 2 years, I think that it's just really, really dumb, and I can't overstate that enough.
Yeah, the reasoning here is completely ridiculous, really. Like, the only thing that I can see here being a valid concern is the internet concerns. Like, yeah, everyone knows the Nintendo's not great with their online stuff, but like, who doesn't want to play Sims on the go? Like, they don't even take that into consideration here, that the Switch is a portable console. I remember back in the 2000s just playing like Madden and other EA games on my PSP. Like, that was awesome. Like, I know that it's going to be a downgrade in quality, but I want to be able to play it wherever I go, and that is what the Switch hits perfectly that no other console can or ever will. It's absolutely bonkers to me that they don't see that. Yeah, they released Fe and FIFA on there, and they were underperforming games because they were bad ports of those games. Like, there was nothing special about them there. There was no reason to get those there when I can play a much better version in every way somewhere else, and it just wasn't worth playing on the go. Even though, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't play FIFA, I don't care about soccer whatsoever, but like, it's crazy to me. Like you said, this is the hottest selling console right now. The PS4 just sold 100 million units, but the Switch has just been on fire since its release, and I just cannot believe that EA is just still considering. Well, they're not even considering it. Like, this is completely asinine to me, and I just do not get this thinking whatsoever.
It's a very poor strategy. It's just not something that was very clearly thought out, or maybe it comes from a place of animosity due to right, it's some kind of falling out in the past. Whatever it may be, at the end of the day, EA is a company, and there is no reason that you should be removing choice from the consumer and making it easier for them to purchase the things that they want to purchase.
And then also passing it off on the community, saying it's the community wouldn't like that. Like, you haven't even given us a fair chance to prove that we would or not. Like, it's completely ridiculous.
For example, I mean, one of the hottest things that really prints money nowadays is remasters, and I think that EA, even if they just focused on remastering things for the Switch and putting them there to just be repurchased, there would be no problem with that, and that would make them tons of money. I think it's a missed business opportunity. It's a boneheaded decision, and I am sick of talking about it because it makes me mad.
Yeah, and it's just bad for gamers.
Just bad. Yeah, that's it.
Just overall.
EA's slogan.
Like, EA, just be bad. Okay, all right, so we're running a little long here. We're going to cut our final news story, which was just Respawn is revealing its new VR game next month. There you go. We have a topic of the show today, though. This is from Chandler Smith, or at Chanman007. That's ChanMan007. Go follow him on Twitter. Seems like a cool dude. His suggestion for our topic of the show is you guys should talk about what you think of the new Nintendo Switch. They also had an update about Mario Kart Tour. I guess it's supposed to come out sometime in August. So let's start with the Switch. The Switch Lite is what he's calling it. I think we've talked a little bit about what we think of it, but we can really go into our thoughts now that we've had more time to think about it. What do you think of the Switch Lite?
I'm still very much on the fence of throwing down a pre-order for it. It actually just went live for pre-orders in several different retailers. So if you're looking to get one, get out there and put some money down. Like I said, though, I'm still very much on the fence about this. I do have some concerns. I do play my Switch in primarily handheld mode. I've been playing a ton of Fire Emblem Three Houses, like I said before, and all of it's been in handheld mode. I just do not prefer to play it on the television. That being said, though, there are a lot of things that you do kind of lose with the Switch Lite, such as a little bit smaller screen. You lose that multiplayer functionality. I love being able to just drop my Switch on the dock to charge it, even though I don't use it with my television. It's just a very easy thing to do, which is awesome. So losing out on that stuff is kind of a big bummer for me. That being said, I mean, there are certainly positives here, like a little bit longer battery life. It's much lighter and easy to carry around, which is great. But for me, I'm not 100% sold until I get hands-on with one. And I think my biggest concern, really the number one thing that's holding me back from slapping down a pre-order on this, is that Nintendo has admitted now that they have an issue with their Joy-Cons, and the Joy-Con joysticks are drifting in way too many of their controllers. And, you have the class action lawsuit that could potentially be pushed through, and they just haven't given a good enough answer on that. And it's not a massive problem with a system that has detachable controllers, but when you talk about a system that you cannot take those controllers off and you cannot get them easily serviced or replaced, I'm personally scared to spend $200 on something that could very possibly break in a short amount of time. That's very nerve-wracking for me. And really holds it back from being a must-buy for me. So, on the fence, that's my stance. How do you feel, John?
I was never really planning on getting a Switch Lite, mostly because I think it should be called the Light Switch, and I think that would be a lot funnier. In all seriousness, no, I never really thought I'd ever buy it because I'm completely content with the Switch I already have. And like you said, I am always down for... I haven't had the Joy-Cons, but me and Omar talked about this last week a bit. I haven't had any issues with my Joy-Cons, but if I ever did, I can just go out and buy some new ones. Yeah, they're expensive, like $80, or you can buy just like single used ones or something for like almost 40. But it's like still like if one of your things starts drifting on the Switch Lite, you're paying an extra $200 to get that replaced. Now, I don't know if the Joy-Con issue repair stuff that we talked about last week, if that's going to carry over to this, but I'm kind of doubting that it will, because that is a lot of money for replacing one part of a big console. Well, I mean, it's not a big console, but like it's much bigger than a Joy-Con on its own. So it's definitely, I get people would be excited for it. What really nailed it in the coffin for me not getting it was the announcement that the Switch is getting an update with its battery, because that's even better than the Switch Lite. So it's just like, there's no reason for me personally to get a Switch Lite when I have my own, and I bought my daughter one and she enjoys hers as well. Just no reason for me to get it. All right, and then second up, there was an update about Mario Kart Tour. I personally haven't heard anything on this. Have you heard about an update on it?
I have not. That's the mobile game, isn't it?
Yes.
The, like, freemium style?
Yes, the last thing I heard about it was there was some leaked footage of the beta of it that came out. So I wonder if the update on it was just maybe that it's coming out in August.
I pulled an article that I'm skimming here. I'll see if there's anything worthwhile.
Okay, so what I'll say is what I saw from the beta is I'm kind of disappointed in it. You can only play it vertically on your phone, and I wasn't a big fan of how you control your car and everything. It just hits that same problem that I think a lot of Nintendo mobile games are hitting that are coming out, that it's changing up the base game that it's taking from in all the wrong ways. You look at Dr. Mario World. Have you played that yet?
I have not.
Oh my God.
I've heard some pretty bad things about it.
I downloaded it and I couldn't get through the tutorial. I was like, this is not good. This is bad.
That's rough.
They just change it up so much. Like, all they had to do was make Dr. Mario from the NES and put it on the Switch. That's all they had to do. And they just completely failed there. Super Mario Run, I've played a little bit of, and I thought, okay, it's fine. Nothing amazing. I would rather be able to control all of Mario, but hey, it's whatever. Make an endless runner. That's not endless.
I will say, just to counterpoint the poor quality they've given us so far, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp was really, really good, and they're still adding a ton of content to it, and I think that's very good for what it is. So
that is one I haven't played, so I can't speak on that one.
It's good. It's not that Nintendo can't do good mobile stuff. It's just that apparently they hate doing good mobile stuff.
Right? Yeah, like with Mario Kart, like how do you not make this like a horizontal kind of thing? Like, it's only playable vertical. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You just do like what any emulator has done and just put like the controls on the front there and let you drive. Like, it was easy. Like, all you had to do. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's probably going to be free, so I'll give it a try, and maybe my thoughts will be changed then. But as of now, I'm not looking forward to it, which is disappointing, because earlier this year, the thought of a Mario Kart game on mobile sounds awesome. It really does. But I
really would have loved to see them kind of partner with an external studio and kind of hand the property off a little bit. And let somebody else.
Well, I think they did,
have
didn't they?
This.
It's like called DNA or something.
Is it another one? Oh, you're right. Yes, It's developed by the same guys that did Super Mario Run and Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. So
okay, so yeah,
we'll see. The article just mentions that basically the big news was Nintendo had a financial results meeting, and they just mentioned that Mario Kart Tour is still on track for release this summer on iOS and Android. So should be getting it pretty soon.
Yeah,
nothing really bigger than that.
It hit beta on Android in May, I want to say. And it was originally supposed to come out in like June, I think. So you got to think that it's getting close. But if it comes out, I hope it's better than I think it will be. Definitely want to give it a try, but not very excited for it. But that does it for episode 70 of the Pixel Street Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Pixel Street Pod. Also search for us on Facebook. Hit us up on SoundCloud. That'd be awesome. Connor, where can the people find you?
The good people can find me on Twitter, posting random memes by @TheRealBirch. That's Birch like the tree, but without the I. Also on Mixer at Birch, again with no I, spelled the same as the tree, but with no I. Can't emphasize that enough. I only have one eye. Or no eyes.
He is a Cyclops.
It's up to you.
All right. On Twitter, I am at Revek Shadows. You can also find me on YouTube. Just search Revek Shadows or go to youtube.com/JohnJW92. Be sure to look out on my Twitter for when I post my review of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I'll be writing that up and finishing it tonight after I edit this. Gonna be pretty busy. Otherwise, I don't have anything. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, be sure to watch out on our Twitter at Pixel Street Pod for Joel's Halo Outpost postings. I'm not really sure what goes on there or anything, but should be fun if you're in the Halo. So some good stuff coming up. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We are out.
Bye.